I am so excited to introduce Kathy Truman. So, Kathy has over 20 years experience teaching, mentoring, presenting, writing, and working with clients concerning emotional and generational healing, as well as dealing with life's everyday trials and challenges. This includes working with issues related to abuse, trauma, addiction, relationships, parenting, self-worth, lack of purpose, and more. She's authored 6 books, 40 ebooks, and is the co-owner of BrainTunes. She is also featured as a contributor in Being Zero with a chapter related to her presentation today, Transforming Trauma into Peace.
I'm really grateful for this opportunity, and the timing of this class is just uncanny. I've had a major trauma that's happened in my family. Maybe some of you have heard about the Michigan fire and the shooting that happened there. My niece, Dan Lee, was at church with her family, and her husband heard that truck crash into the church, and he ran to help, and he was the first person shot. It's been a month in, and he is still in the hospital with more surgeries to come. And so I just want to dedicate this class to him, to the family, to all of the victims of that shooting. And if there's any support that anyone would like to give, you can just go to GoFundMe and go to support for the Phelps family. So I just wanted to dedicate this class and then jump into
Very
the
appropriate. And our prayers, we have been sending intention and prayer to him and his family, and we'll continue to do so.
Yes, it is a major, major trial.
Yes.
So many of us have traumas in our lives. And the interesting thing about trauma is you usually have symptoms of the trauma versus memories. And so I put a couple of slides here to kind of let you browse over them and look at some of the symptoms that trauma can bring into your lives. Some of those who irritable depression, nightmares, triggers, flashbacks, depression, hypervigilance, feeling overwhelmed, this dealing, hard time dealing with stress and being forgetful, having phobias. There's just so many symptoms that come up in our lives, and we don't realize that those symptoms are actually related to traumas we've had. The interesting thing about our brain is that it often will subdue the memories of the trauma to kind of protect us. And so the way that we can know if we've got underlying traumas in our life is from the symptoms that come about. What I like to do to approach healing trauma is a holistic approach. So physical ways to deal with trauma, emotional ways, mental ways, spiritual ways. Those are the 4 ways that I'm going to cover today. There's also generational traumas that we can address at another class, but these 4 aspects of healing from trauma can be really helpful when you use them in combination. Often people just go to one little branch of healing and find some limited success, but I like to try to get it all together so that you can find whole healing with a holistic approach. The memory of a situation isn't necessarily a memory of what actually happened. Isn't that interesting? What we usually remember is the emotion that is attached to the event that happened. So we get an emotional charge that hooks to the event, and those then carve, these myelin sheaths wrap around the memory and the emotional charge, and they carve these neural pathways into our brain. Then whenever anything else happens, it jumps down into that pathway. And so it makes all of our life seem more traumatic as everything that happens to us goes into that neural pathway that is cut through our brain with these deep, entrenched charges of pain and depression and heartache and fear, most of all fear. So I'm going to show you some physical ways that we can learn to interrupt. They're called brain interrupters. So I mentioned that we have the memory of the event that happened, and then you have the emotional charge that's attached to it. What we want to do is break those apart. You're always going to have an idea of what happened, but if you don't have that emotional charge that's right hooked to it, it's not going to bring so much pain into your life. I had someone who was in a traffic accident at a certain corner, And it was right by her house, and she just could not go to that intersection. Every time she needed to go somewhere, she had to go the long way around, because when she went to that intersection, that just brought all that trauma back and triggered her. And I did this exercise that I'm going to teach you with her. And after just a few days of doing this, she's now able to just drive right through that intersection without any problems at all. And it's not that the memory is, the event didn't happen, or that the memory, but that emotional charge isn't connected to it anymore. So I'm going to teach you the different parts of this exercise, and then we're going to actually try it. Now, the picture here is a character in our Brain Tune series, and I'm going to show you that in a little bit. This is an exercise that I actually learned from 𝐸𝐵𝐿 Peck, and he is the owner of 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞. And I know that he has spoken in conferences, and I think he's kind of a sponsor of this one as well. But
yes, there's some handouts from him that.
Yes. So he's the one that taught me this exercise. I've added a little bit of my own twist to it, but I find it's really effective. And there are 5 components to it. And the first one, we kind of go back to the animal kingdom. This is from a book called Waking the Tiger by Peter Levine. And he is really an awesome source for trauma therapy and stuff. And he's also the one that talks about he talks about memories as well, and how the memories that we have of an event can be skewed according to our life experiences. So he addresses that in a really good way. So this exercise, first off, he talks about an animal remains in the immobility state, freeze for a period of time, and then moves out of it through trembling discharge. The incident is completed. We frequently shake when we're cold, anxious, angry, or fearful. Patients sometimes shake uncontrollably in cold shivers as they awake from anesthesia. Wild animals often tremble when they are stressed or confined. We can literally shake it off. So a part of this exercise is the trembling. And it's just an innate way our body wants to reset our nervous system, to calm it down. Autistic kids, when they get overwhelmed, they do what they call stimming. They just tense everything up and until they're trembling and quivering. And then when they let go, they've calmed down. Their nervous system is calmer. Sometimes they'll do flapping or something. And it's just a way that they can reset their nervous system. And they just innately know how to do that. So what we do when we do this exercise is we're going to tense up all of our muscles so that we can tremble, get our body to tremble. And I'm going to explain more how we do that as we go on the next step. Then the next part of it is that if you want to interrupt the flow of water in a hose, you're going to twist the hose. Well, our right brain talks to our left side of our body. Our left brain talks to the right side of our body. And it crosses in the neck. And we are going to do kind of a symbolic, we're going to turn our head to our dominant side to interrupt the brain chemical flow. So I'm right-handed. I put my chin over my right shoulder. If you're left-handed, you're going to put your chin over your left shoulder. So that's the second step. The third step is we hold fear in our lungs. When you get really scared, you go and you hold your breath. Or if you're really nervous, your breathing gets really shallow. And that's why deep breathing is such an important part of trauma therapy. And in this, you're going to take a big breath, and then you're going to blow the air out through your mouth in 3 steps. So you're going to blow, then stop and hold. Do not inhale. Blow more. Stop and inhale. And don't inhale, I mean. Stop and hold. And then you're going to blow all the way out. And you're going to blow out till there's just nothing left. Ooh, you're just completely gone. And that's the 4th step. The 5th step is when you hold your breath as long as you can. So your whole body is squeezing and quivering. Your chin is over your shoulder. I always close my eyes because when you close your eyes, you go more into the subconscious. And then you're going to hold your breath as long as you can. And that's called 0 point. It's where there's stillness. And This is when you're going to reprogram your body, your mind. You're going to say, in your mind, while you're holding your breath, you're going to think, I'm safe. Praise God. And praising God is not thank you. It's accepting and receiving his will into your life. Praise God. I'm loved. I'm in a safe place. I'm here right now today. So many of trauma problems are fear of the future and regret and anxiety about the past. And I'm here right now. I'm present. I'm in my body. In this moment, I am safe. You take a big breath in and then you repeat it. And you usually repeat it 3 to 5 times. And so I want everybody to try this with me. If you have a pillow handy, grab a pillow so you can hug it. If you don't, just hug yourself and squeeze. What I do is I curl my toes and I flex my calves. I lean forward, squish my shoulder blades together. I want everything to quiver. I'm going to hold so tight that I'm going to quiver. It's interesting how many times doctors and nurses or people want to stop you from shaking. But that shaking is actually what's helping your body to reset its nervous system. So you don't want to stop the shaking. So you want everything to quiver. And then you turn your head to the right and close your eyes. And we're going to start the blowing. Now, everything is better with an intention. And so I always trust my subconscious to flip up a memory that is ready to be healed or ready to be let go. And so if you already know of a trauma that gives you an emotional charge, that's what we're looking for. You can call that to mind. Otherwise, just take a moment and let your subconscious flip up a file, flip up a memory of something that is ready to be healed. And you feel how that feels in your body. And usually that will bring up fight or flight or freeze. That's going to bring up those kind of charges. And so we want to have you feel what that is before. You don't relive the trauma. You just feel that feeling in your body. Okay, so then curl your toes, tense up your calves, hold your body, turn your head to the right, and then blow out. You have your mouth, blow out, stop and hold. Blow more, stop and hold. Blow all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, and hold your breath, and think, now you're quivering. I'm safe. All is well. I'm loved. Praise God. Now take a big breath in, and you're going to do it again. Okay, you're going to turn, and you're going to blow out. Stop, hold. Blow more. Stop, hold. Blow all the way, all the way, all the way. Hold your breath as long as you can. I'm safe. Praise God. I'm still standing. Big breath in. We're going to do it one more time. Okay, squeeze, everything's quivering. Blow out, stop, hold. Blow more, stop, hold. Blow all the way, all the way, all the way, all the way, and hold your breath as long as you can. I'm still here. I'm loved. I'm safe. Then take a big breath in. Now, I want you to look at that memory. Does it feel different in your body? If you feel even just a slight reduction of that fight or flight feeling in your body, that's letting you know that this is working. Did you feel a difference, Christine?
It did shift it, yes.
It shifts it. Sometimes the first time I did this, it was really interesting. I had fallen out of a truck and gotten hurt, and that was the memory that I was looking at. And after doing this for a couple of days, it's like that memory was behind a cloud or something. I couldn't see it as clearly. But the whole emotional charge with it was gone. Now, this is like a doctor gives you a prescription. You go home and you take one pill, and then you're like, oh, I didn't get better. You've got to make this. What we want to do with these exercises is we want to reset your homeostasis or your default. A lot of people, I notice their fight or flight is their default. Their engine is always revving, ready to go. And so everything that happens, woof, there's a reaction. And this is going to actually reset your brain chemistry so that you are in rest, restore, heal, which is the parasympathetic nervous system, instead of fight or flight, which is a sympathetic nervous system. We actually become addicted to emotions. We actually become addicted to a brain chemical cocktail. You've heard of a drama queen or an adrenaline junkie or somebody that just has a hair trigger for anger. Their homeostasis is, let's say, an 80% at anger. And so it's just going to spill out really quickly and easily with any kind of a trigger. And what we want to do is we want to dial that down so that your homeostasis is calm, peaceful, restful, and it takes a whole lot to get you up to a place where you're emotionally charged or reactive. So that's the purpose of this exercise. I suggest, and a lot of people use it as a sleeping pill. If you do this 3 to 5 repetitions right before you go to bed at night, you will just lay down and zonk out. Even if you just have the intention that you're blowing all the stress of your day out, you're blowing out hurt feelings, you're blowing out upset you have with someone, you're blowing that out and you're replacing it. You never want to clear something and then leave a void. There's a lot of modalities that clear away trauma, but then there's just a void there. You always want to replace that void with healthy healing practices. So this is like a prescription. You need to do it a couple of times a day as a maintenance so that your body and your brain becomes comfortable with being calm. It's like doing a push-up once, you're not going to get strong. So if you make it a habit, now that's a maintenance. If something comes up that really triggers you and that is really upsetting, then just go into the bathroom and sit on the toilet and do it. I mean, within 3 or 4 minutes, you'll have your whole nervous system and your body calm down. So this is just a great tool. I love to use it. I've found clients have a lot of success with it. When we have traumas in our life, our brain, in order to protect us, a lot of times will compartmentalize those traumas. It'll put it in different parts of our brain, but it'll compartmentalize it so that we don't have to deal with all the trauma we've had in our life all the time, every day. And a lot of times this is why people don't remember a trauma until they get older and they have some kind of therapy or something. And a lot of times those memories will come up, or some event will happen that will open up those memories. That's what explains that, is the brain is protecting you by compartmentalizing. The extreme version of this is the dissociative personality disorder, where you get split personalities. That's a very extreme. But all of us tend to compartmentalize. A really fun test to do, and you have to have somebody else do this with you, is, I just call it the brain snap test. So what you do is you close your eyes and the other person will snap, and they'll hold their hand where they snap, and you open your eyes and you look where you hear the snap. So they snap above and below your face, and then go straight over and snap above and below on your right side and above and below on your left side. So there's 6 places they snap. And rarely can anybody just see every one of them. And a lot of times they're real slow in their response. So you'll snap and they'll kind of sit there a minute, and then they'll kind of look around, trying to find it. After doing thought-field therapy, which is something that I learned the basics of from Christine. So thank you, Christine, because I found this to be very helpful.
It's abbreviated TFT, and it came out about around the time as EFT. But yeah, Roger Callahan instead of, the EFT direction. Yep. Yeah.
And I find it really helpful. Again, I kind of put my own little twist on the end of it, but I find it super helpful. And how I kind of describe it to people is like, let's say you have all these roadways in your brain, but then there's all these big boulders in the middle of the roadways. And so your brain in your thinking process has to go around all these boulders, or there's parts of things you don't even want to look at. So when you're doing the snap test, if you don't look at where the snap actually is, it's actually a signal that there's things in your life that are compartmentalized that you are not looking at. Now, doing this exercise does not mean you have to go back and look at your traumas. That's not what it means. But it clears the boulders out of these pathways, and it helps you to think more clearly, have more clarity and more focus. It helps you to be able to clear the cobwebs out of your brain, so to speak. And the eyes it uses the eyes, and the eyes are such a powerful tool. Many people like the therapy called EMDR, which is an eye, uses the eyes and stuff. And I have found this to be really just as effective as EMDR. And it's something I'm going to teach you, and you can do it for free. But I always do a before and an after with a snap test so that you can see how clear your connections are before, and then you do this exercise, and then you have somebody repeat it and see how much different it is, how quickly you can look, and it just improves it immediately. The first time through, it improves it. But of course, the more you do it, the better you get. So again, I'm giving you like emotional prescriptions. If you make these a part of your daily practices, they are going to improve your physical ability to deal with traumas. And that's what we're addressing here first. The heart, we wear a wedding ring on our ring finger because it's the venus amore. It goes to our heart. And so the heart meridian, the bones between the pinky and the ring finger, that gap, you're just going to take your right hand and tap into the left hand. Usually traumas sit very heavy on our hearts, and we want to clear our heart as well. And then I put the formula here for how you do your eyes. So you're going to just sit and tap in your hand. And then with your eyes, you're going to look to the ceiling, to the floor, lower right corner, ceiling, floor, lower left corner. Do not move your head. Ceiling, and then circle around clockwise, back around counterclockwise. Make a big X, upper right, lower left, lower right, and then a big cross. So horizontal back and forth, vertical up and down. And then I've added on the back end of it 2 lazy 8s because we want to reintegrate the brain. So you just look in the center and you just go around and around and around and around. And this usually needs to be repeated about 15 times, this little pattern. So you got to memorize it, but it's worth it. It is amazing how much it clears up the clutter and the past traumas and the hurtful stuff in your brain. It just clears it up, and it helps you to, again, separate the emotional charge from the memory, the brain interrupters. It's a great brain interrupter. Now, when I get done repeating about 15 times of doing this pattern, then I've added the 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞 posture to it. The reason is because we've cleaned everything out and we've cleared all the pathways, and this is a brain reintegration exercise. So this is bringing back wholeness and calm and peace. So what you do is you clasp your hands together, and whichever thumb's on top, my left thumb is on top, then that's the ankle you put up on top of your knee. And you cross your other hand over, close your eyes, and you do like therapeutic breathing. So you breathe in through your nose and then twice as long out through your mouth. And do that 5 times while you're holding that position. Then I steeple my fingers and I put my 2 thumbs right in the middle of my chest of the heart chakra and do the 5 breaths. And then I like to reverse it. Put my left foot over my right knee and just do that whole reverse thing. And then steeple the fingers and put them up on your third eye, your forehead, and do the breathing. And when I get done with that part, then I like to cross my hands over my heart and do the little butterfly. And then I close my eyes and I like to have some communication with my divine. You can visualize the Savior, God. You can visualize him putting his hands on your head to bless you. You can visualize speaking with him, hugging him, have some kind of your own personal interaction with the Holy Spirit, with the divine. And then when you get done with that, then feel your body again and how you feel. I think you'll find that you just you're just be so much more at peace. When we can calm down our nervous system and then calm down those brain chemicals that are going crazy with some of these brain interrupters, it's extremely helpful to dealing with trauma. Otherwise, you're like swimming upriver and water's rushing in. But when you can get your body to cooperate with you and be calm, then you can logically deal with things so much easier. When we are in fight or flight, we're a lot of times over in our right brain. So the right brain is all the emotions and artistic and all those things. The left brain is the logic. And sometimes we get very stuck in our right brain with all these emotions and we're just reacting. We're not thinking clearly. And when you are in fight or flight, the energy does leave your core, leaves your brain, leaves your digestive tract to go out to your limbs so you can fight or flight. We want to bring your brain back into balance these brain hemispheres, connect them back up so you're not just wildly reacting to the emotions. And I have a really fun toy, basically, this brain board that you just do the marble, it's kind of around, and you watch it with your eyes. It's interactive, it's multisensory, and kids think they're playing with a toy. But really what they're doing is calming down as that goes around and goes around, the sound of the marble going around and just watching that. It calms anxiety and it connects up the hemispheres and brings everything into balance. And so it's a really nice way to be able to calm your body down, calm down your nervous system so you can deal with things in a logical way. Now, I wish I would have learned all these things when I was a kid. It took me several decades before I learned any tools to help. And so a friend of mine and I developed a program called Brain Tunes. And it's specifically to help children to learn a lot of these techniques, but to make them fun with stories and songs. Music helps to integrate them. This is showing a picture from the book about EFT, which is emotional freedom technique, which is tapping. You can go on YouTube and watch a video for free called The Tapping Solution. And I know Christine also does a lot with tapping. And that's another way. You hit the side of your hand and say, even though something terrible happened to me, I'm here today. I'm still standing. I'm loved. I'm accepted. And then you actually tap into these energy meridians and you say the things you want to release. And you speak them. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling scared. And you tap these points on your body as you speak these things, and it opens up those energy meridians and releases these negative emotions out. And so that's a really nice way to be able to release a lot of the pain and trauma that's stored in your body. We actually have a program called Brain Tunes with 8 different books, and they have emotional coping mechanisms, brain education, brain movements to music and to stories with the animals at the Brain Tunes Academy. And it helps them at a young age incorporate not just reading a story, but actually learning how to deal with their emotions and how to deal with their learning issues through songs and stories and stuff. So those are some real practical, physical things that you can do to be able to calm down your body. So then you can start to do these other steps. So next, we're going to go to the emotional part of traumatic healing, trauma healing. If you haven't healed it, every time you think about a negative event from your past, your body produces the exact same chemicals in the body as when it happened. That means you relive the experience hundreds of times simply because you haven't let it go. Now, they call this self-terrorism because the story that you tell yourself, if you tell yourself the story of a trauma over and over as the victim, it re-imprints the pain in your heart. Your brain and your heart and your body don't know that it isn't happening again right now. And so as you retell it over and over and over as the victim from that perspective, then you are re-imprinting trauma. You're re-imprinting that upset and that pain into your whole being. And so that even though is really an important aspect to say, even though this happened to me, it hasn't beaten me. I'm still standing. I'm still here. I have someone who loves me. I'm safe in this moment. I'm recovering. They didn't win. They didn't defeat me. I own my body. I own myself. That I own my body is so important, especially for any victims of physical abuse, sexual abuse. That I own my body mantra is so important to say, because we want to imprint that this body is ours, not for anyone else, but it's for us. And so to use that mantra. But when we just speak the trauma that happened to us, then we go off a cliff kind of with it. We want to say, even though this happened. Another really helpful thing is to say, yet. I haven't completely healed yet. I haven't overcome this problem yet. It gives that hope. You want that hope there. And so by using even though and yet. Now, part of this is the story we tell ourselves about the trauma, the story we tell ourselves. Now, we all have had things that have happened in our past, every one of us. And we can tell ourselves the story in a way that harms us, or in a way that can take that kind of out of our internal being. A lot of the trauma that we cause ourselves is because of the story we tell ourselves about the event. Let's say that you had a brother that hit you when you were a little girl. That's not okay. And that caused you a lot of fear and a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma. And so we can go through our lives saying, I was a bad girl. And so my brother hit me because he needed to discipline me, or because he hated me, or because I deserved it. And I'm a terrible person. Or we can tell ourselves a story that my brother was being ornery, and he was afraid because I was getting all the attention. And so the way he dealt with it was to strike out at me. It's like the event happened, but it's the way you describe that event to yourself makes a lot of difference in how you feel about it and how you heal. You never, ever, ever deserve to be abused in any way. It is never, ever, ever the victim's fault. And so if you have any kind of a story that you tell yourself that somehow you should have done something different, you could have, if only this, and all these things, that just internalizes it, that you are to blame, that it's your fault. And, shame is one of the symptoms of trauma. If we say, oh, I was embarrassed to death, that's because that embarrassment and shame is the frequency or the vibration that's closest to death. And so you don't want to be telling yourself a story that brings shame upon you. If you have responsibility or culpability in some sort of a situation in the past, take responsibility for that and deal with that. But if you are taking upon yourself blame, if you are victimized in some way, the victim is not at fault. And so don't tell yourself that story. Reframe the story that you tell yourself to help you to heal and to give your body and your heart and your mind a break, because they're going through trauma over and over and over again every time you relive that as the victim. And it really makes you feel very powerless. It's important that you stand in your own personal power. One of the things when you're squeezing and holding your breath and then thinking positive thoughts is to say, I can stand in my own power. I'm a divine child of God. I have a royal lineage. I have an eternal heritage. Speak the truth of who you are. I often have my clients, I have them look at themselves in the mirror in the eyes, because the eyes are the connection to the pineal gland, which is the center of emotions in your brain. And so I will muscle test them, see if they test strong. Then I'll have them look at themselves in the mirror in their eyes, and I'll muscle test them again, and they'll go down. And the reason they go down is because they do not see the truth of who they are when they look at themselves in the mirror. And so to tell yourself, looking at yourself in the eyes, the truth of who you really are will strengthen you. It'll strengthen your physical body. It'll strengthen your mind. It'll strengthen your heart, and it'll empower you so that you stand in your own personal power. And you have a lot to feel powerful about, because whatever it is that you dealt with in your past, you're still here. You're still standing. It has not
I love where
taken.
you show also how it weakens you to project worry onto someone else. So
Yes.
similar, like that I stuck
Yes.
with me so much for
Yes.
the years.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll
It
I'll
weakens
just,
us, but does it also weaken them? I'm trying to
yes.
remember.
When we
Yeah.
say I'm worried, whoo, we go weak because that's a low vibration. But what's interesting is I go over and I'll test the strength of someone that they say they're worried about, and they go weak too.
That is
So
not a way to help.
yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't help.
Our our negative low vibrations is contagious.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's why,
information. It's
yeah,
information. Yeah.
that's why we want to stand in our own power and in positive emotions, and we want to replace that negativity with the positive. I do emotional release work, emotional healing work. I use muscle testing as a tool in that. But we don't just like get rid of the negative. We counsel together about how to replace that negative with the positive. What are the steps forward? Where is the healing? We don't just clear away the bad. We've got to take a positive approach towards the healing. Until you heal the wounds of your past, you will continue to bleed. You can bandage the bleeding with food, with alcohol, with drugs, with work, with cigarettes, with sex, but eventually it will all ooze through and stain your life. You must find the strength to open the wounds, stick your hands inside, pull out the core of the pain that is holding you in your past, the memories, and make peace with them. That's from 𝐬𝐮𝐬𝐫𝐞𝐭. So how do we do that? Think about when you cut your arm and you start bleeding. Do you just sit there and go, oh, my arm's bleeding? Oh, well, I'm just going to sit here and watch it bleed until it's just leaking out all over, everywhere, and it's hemorrhaging and it's making a mess. No, we don't do that. We go to the first aid kit and we bandage up those wounds. We clean it out, and we put a bandage on it to help it to heal. And when it heals, it becomes a scar. And scar tissue is the toughest tissue in our body. So I suggest having an emotional first aid kit. So when you start to emotionally bleed, don't just sit there and bleed and until you're hemorrhaging all over and making a mess of everything. Get an emotional first aid kit where you go and listen to sacred music. You look at pictures of loved ones. You can color. You can meditate. You can go in your mind to a safe place, by a waterfall or some place that you love to be, and so that you are actually changing the channel, so to speak. But you are treating that wound as soon as that wound first happens. Hurry and treat it. Don't let it just hemorrhage all over the place. But you've got to prepare that first aid kit ahead of time. You don't want to be bleeding all over and run around looking for a Band-Aid. And when you have an emotional wound come to you, you want to hurry and treat it and let your brain know for 7 seconds. You have a thought for 7 seconds, you're going to have a reflexive brain chemical reaction to that. But after 7 seconds, you're feeding it. And so you need to deal with that promptly. Do you feel safe? This is the mental. We have core beliefs, and safety is one of the most important parts of healing. Do I feel safe? And you need to look in your world to things that can help you to feel safe in this world. our feelings of safety can control so much of our behavior. And sometimes we feel unsafe in situations that are safe just because we're addicted to the feeling of being on guard and protecting, having a wall up and making sure that nothing's going to get us. And that becomes a habit. And so you want to look at your life and see where it is that you can evaluate what really is safe, what's not safe, and clean that up in your life. Sometimes those traumas become like a scratch in a record, and you just keep looping on it, looping on it, and looping on it. And you can do a visualization where you lift that needle up and move it past the scratch and let the song play, where you interrupt that loop. If you got your remote and you turned on the TV and a horror show came on, would you say, oh, a horror show came on the TV, now I have to sit and watch it because that's what came on when I turned the TV on? No, you use your remote and you change the channel. And so it's important in our brains that we change the channel when we have negative thoughts, looping thoughts, scratches in our record, that we consciously change the channel to something, to lyrics of a song are the easiest, best way to your brain can't be thinking that and the traumatic thought at the same time. So doing the lyrics of a song will help to refocus your brain to something that is safe. The spiritual aspect. Our body holds the witness of your life experiences. These become heavier the longer you hold them. As your adult self, take your child self to the royal courts on high and let her bear her witness. Lay it all on the altar of God and ask that it be sealed and consecrated. Forgive it, and then bring your child self back into your adult self. We get soul fractures when we have traumas, and we leave parts of ourself behind dealing with the trauma, and we feel that void, we feel the emptiness of it. And so to do visualizations where you're able to let her speak her truth, reclaim her power, reclaim the things she lost of herself at that time, and then bring her back home to you where she's safe and she's understood. And doing that inner child work is really powerful. But laying the witness out to the angels of heaven and then leaving that witness there so that you don't have to keep repeating that witness over and over again. You've probably heard of kintsugi, where they put gold in the broken places. We all have broken places, but the spiritual, I think, is a lot of where we can bring that gold into those cracks and breaks. To me, that's through the atonement of the Savior, Jesus Christ. There's a beautiful quote: Zion is built on a vision of turning our inner wounds into testifying scars, which remind us of lessons learned and engrave us with compassion, but do not hurt us anymore. I can't see the word there. He shows us his scars, he offers us his healing, and he invites us to bless and heal and love others through the wisdom life has written in our flesh. That knowing that even Christ was resurrected with his scars, showing that the trauma healed, and that we can follow that example with our wounds and find peace. In addition to the book that I wrote a chapter in with Christine, I have 6 other books. The Miracle Principle one is about learning to praise God even in all things. And that is not thank you, but that is opening us up to receive all that he has, all the healing. And then I just have a website. You can go on to look at the summaries of the different books, or make an appointment, or whatever you want to do. But anyway, my wish for you is peace, replacing the traumas that you've had in your lives, and that gold and the light of Christ can fill in the broken places. Bless you.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much. This one was very practical, very useful. And I love that you talked about the 0 point that 𝐿 taught, because I also learned that from him. And I don't know if he calls it that. So it was after.
Yeah, I don't know what he calls it, but
yeah, as after he did a demo, and I felt the power of the nothing.
Yes.
Of that exhale. And I'm like, what would I call that? And I'm like, I would call it 0 point breathing. So the first thing I did is I went and Googled it. and it existed called ZPB.
Oh,
And
cool.
so it wasn't his technique, but it was the principle
Uh-huh.
of the vacuum. The vacuum you create in the exhale is
Yeah.
this, there's just nothing. There's no air in there.
Yeah.
There's
There's
nothing
just a
in there.
stillness there.
It's stillness. It's
Yeah.
silence.
Like on
Yeah.
a computer, you want to delete the old files and then you
Yeah.
replace it with the new.
And so, yeah, in the silence, you can get pure truth. So
Yes.
it was that experience with him that was part of my journey finding Quantum University, creating quantum wholeness meditation, which is the zero and the silence, and then eventually renaming my version of, it's an evolved version of EFT into 0 point, yeah, ZPM,
Hmm.
0 point meridian technique. So
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm so glad you mentioned that because I want to make sure Sherritt gets the credit for
Yes,
two really
absolutely.
important,
Yeah.
points, 0 points that have infinite potential, right?
Yes.
Because
Yes.
they've
And
led to healing
those
for so many.
exercises are so effective. So effective.
So
I think
yeah,
they replace
yeah,
tons of talk therapy.
it's true.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they
the power
really
of
work. If
nothing.
you'll try them, they really work.
Yeah, stop talking. Use silence. Use
Yes.
stillness. Absolutely.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you,
there is
Christine.
hope for healing, even from
Yes.
hard things, and blessings and prayers to your family,
Oh, thank you, thank you,
Michigan.
thank you.
And yes,
Yeah, yeah,
and thank you
the whole
for
month in the
showing up for
hospital, it's
everybody.
going to be a big bill.
Oh my
And
gosh.
he's still there.
Yes, we'll do what
So,
we can. Yeah.
yes, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Okay.